What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk all things trending in movie and pop culture news. I'm your host Chris, and today we have an update coming directly from the official Deadpool movie Twitter account. We also have a few other updates that we'll be discussing, like Secret Invasion. Of course, She-Hulk dropped a trailer yesterday, and I think that there is just a ton of Marvel timeline stuff that needs to be discussed. So if you're interested in all of those updates, stay till the very end of the video. We're going to start talking about what the Deadpool movie had to tell us. They did provide us with an update as to where they are with the entirety of creating Deadpool 3. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our daily uploads. You can also check me out on my other socials, Instagram at ChrisMRosser and Twitter at TheCultureChris. So as I mentioned, we have a few different news updates to go through for the upcoming Marvel projects, but let's start with the Deadpool movie news first. They go to Twitter and say, Deadpool 3 update. We've nailed down brand integrations, story character, and script next. So we know that the Deadpool movie has been underway for quite some time now. Ryan Reynolds has reached out and given us updates himself, and it does sound like the people involved with writing, and of course Kevin Feige as the overseer and overlord of all things Marvel and MCU, has been maybe changing a few things to make it fit the way that they need for the big picture. You have to keep in mind, when anybody writes, directs, creates, or acts in any type of Marvel movie, they do have a lot of free liberties, but at the same time, they also need to be able to adapt and bend to the needs of the bigger picture, the MCU. And that's where Kevin Feige comes in, and that's why we had an original delay. I believe they had to change some of the integrations of where Deadpool came from, which is something here they're talking about, the brand integrations, which is a funny joke, but I do believe that they're reaching out here to give us this overall update that we have a direction, we have our header, and that's really awesome. We've spoken at length about Deadpool showing up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We had theories and leaks and ideas of how Doctor Strange could bring Deadpool over into the MCU, which ultimately didn't happen. However, we did just learn that it was going to happen. It was an idea, it was something that was being tossed around. So you can presume that Ryan Reynolds was involved in this thought process, you can presume Kevin Feige had thought about it, and then all of the people involved in Doctor Strange were also talking about what would be the ramifications, how would this affect the film, and is it something we're going to do? Well, ultimately, if you've seen the movie, you know they did not end up integrating Deadpool into a post-credit scene, although they have confirmed that it was a plan. It would have been an awesome opportunity to open up a few Doctor Strange portals, to go through America Chavez's Star portal, and there you go, Deadpool is now in our MCU. It's very, very possible also that during his little multiversal jump that he did at the end of Deadpool 2, he ended up in 838 and he was captured by Illuminati. Professor X knew who he was and said, we're just going to keep him here. He's going to cause a lot of problems. And then during the entire break-in with Wanda, he could have escaped. It would have been really cool, and it's still 100% a possibility, that Deadpool 3 will start with Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool's point of view, and his escape from all of the mayhem. Now, it's just as likely, and maybe even more possible, that that's not going to be the case, that the opportunity came and is gone, and now we're headed in a whole new direction. But I do hope to some extent we get a point of view of Ryan Reynolds switching over to a different universe. And I really hope that it's going to be a very awesome movie, because Deadpool does have a special place in my heart. I know a lot of people who really enjoy what he's done for rated R films over the last few years, the success that he had as a character, as a movie. It was really, really awesome, and it has sprouted into some darker tones, some more violent tones that have now been coming out, as people have seen that rated R movies can have a successful box office. So that's always awesome, and that's always interesting. Hopefully down the line we'll be getting more updates. Ryan Reynolds has been working away at this project for quite some time, and I do imagine a lot of things have been changed since day one. So wherever they're at now with it, hopefully we'll be getting some even bigger updates very soon. She-Hulk came out yesterday, the first trailer, over a minute and a half long, and it's very interesting. There are some elements that I'm very, very excited about, and there are some things I hope that they work on over the next few months before the series releases on August 17th. For starters, I love the Hulk. I'm very excited to see an OG Avenger, somebody who we've been watching since the very, very beginning of the MCU, returning. Am I a huge fan of Professor Hulk? Yes and no. I don't have as much of a problem as some hardcore Hulk fans do seeing a Hulk that can talk and uses his brain and does his hair and wears clothes. I think that there's a lot of fun to that, and it's a different look at Hulk. What I do also appreciate and understand is Mark Ruffalo doesn't sound like he's in a rush to go anywhere. He said that he's on for the long haul, just like Benedict Cumberbatch, Chris Hemsworth, people who said if Marvel will have them, they're there to stay. In fact, Mark Ruffalo has pitched many different ideas to Kevin Feige and to Marvel for new versions of the Hulk, like World War Hulk or Wolverine vs. Hulk, which he's admitted live in late night talk shows that he's trying to pitch this over to the big guys. So there is a wanting and a longing for Mark Ruffalo to continue playing the Hulk, which means Professor Hulk isn't his final status. In fact, it seems necessary that Professor Hulk exists in order to get Jennifer Walters into the MCU, but maybe something will trigger at the very end of this series, or we'll learn a little bit about what's going on with Bruce Banner in order for him to kind of lose control of the mojo that he's had since Avengers Endgame, which will hopefully inevitably lead to a big breakup between Banner and Hulk and some pretty big Hulk smashing moments, which of course we have World War Hulk rumored, and I do hope that that's the case. So seeing Professor Hulk isn't a problem for me. Yes, there were some very obvious problems with the CGI. Hopefully that's just because this is early cuts, they wanted to get the trailer out to us, and they do have time to fix all of that if they read all the comments and everything that everybody's complaining about and say, hey, this isn't very good. Please remember the Sonic the Hedgehog trailer that dropped a Sonic character that looked like an absolute horror piece, and they fixed it. They took the time, they spent the money, they saw what people were saying, and that's not something that Marvel doesn't have the resources or the ability to do themselves. So if they are paying attention to their fans, you have nothing to worry about. Overall, however, the idea of a lawyer for superheroes sounds really, really fun. It seems like they're going to be going in and out of a high security prison, and we're going to be seeing a ton of cameos because of this, walking through cells with different villains or heroes that have been incarcerated, and kind of learning what the governmental side of the entire thing is. Of course, she's a lawyer, Daredevil's a lawyer, we can expect to see a Daredevil cameo, and this has also been heavily rumored as well. So a lot of promise there with the She-Hulk series, and I hope that they continue to make it better so that we can enjoy the entirety and learn more about the MCU. The last thing we need to talk about is Secret Invasion, which is a bit of an interesting project that just got even more interesting. We had previously assumed that this would all be post-blip, but Kevin Feige has given us an update saying specifically, Secret Invasion events is during the blip, when half of the universe were decimated by Thanos, and will explore the events that happened in that period. Now this throws us a bit into some confusion for everything going on with Nick Fury. Specifically, where is he now? Why is he up in space? What are all the questions and the answers for Sword? Maybe Secret Invasion is pre-Sword, and this is how Sword ends up being created, and Nick Fury thinks he needs to leave Earth a little bit to go onto the secret base to continue protection from the Secret Invasion. Now, Secret Invasion seems to be a very, very awesome and complex piece, a TV series that's going to have a lot more of a movie feel to it, and I think the inclusion of Nick Fury will do that automatically. He has a huge MCU presence, he's a massive character, and although he has been very uninvolved moving forward, even in No Way Home, Nick Fury wasn't Nick Fury, it was a Skrull. I think that there's going to be some very interesting updates that are going to start tying a lot of pieces for the Earthbound MCU together when this one does release. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that we need to talk about Marvel timeline a little bit. It's starting to get a little crazy, because if you look at She-Hulk, it seems like maybe She-Hulk is happening pre-Shang-Chi, but where does Shang-Chi necessarily fit into everything? Is Shang-Chi post or pre Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? We know that Spider-Man No Way Home happened right after Spider-Man Far From Home, literally picks up the moment after, and then the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is after that, and Loki comes before all of this because Kevin Feige has admitted now at the Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness red carpet premiere that Loki happened and is the reason the multiverse is actually thrown out of whack. So we know Loki happened before all of that as well. So a lot of questions as to exact timelines, exact locations for what's happening, and what is going to lead into the next thing. Big questions to be asked, and I think we need to analyze that a little further down the road when we get a tiny bit more information. Hopefully something like She-Hulk or Miss Marvel can do that for us. Guys, thank you so much for watching to the very end of the video. Lots of Marvel stuff coming to us. If you found this update helpful, consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.